All right, everyone, we are back here. And now we're back here on Living Local. But today's Soco Home Show day. We always love Soco Home Show, talking about Colorado Springs' booming community.
That's right. We're talking trends, buying, selling, market updates, some more. Also, we're going to throw a little bit of Airbnb in there this morning.
Yeah.
And a big question that's on everyone's mind, and that is, what's next?
Yeah. What is next?
What
That's
is
a
next?
great question.
It is, isn't it?
Randy Bell, our expert from Colorado First Time Homebuyer. You might recognize him. He's practically our co-host here on
He's
Loving
everywhere.
Living Local.
He's
He's everywhere.
everywhere.
He's even in other states. So, yeah, we appreciate you coming in and chatting with us
Thank
again.
you.
What is next, Randy?
What is next? I mean, the market is definitely, we've spoken about this before, is shifting. You know, you're getting that shift. So you're going from a seller's market, you're shifting a little bit towards a buyer's market. You know, but you're still getting multiple offers if it's priced correctly. It's just not crazy like it was 60, 90 days ago.
So, inventory, which is
Yes.
a wonderful word. I know Kenny likes that word.
Inventory.
Inventory, yeah.
Obviously, options for people, selections, everything. Are we still in the same area of selection and people having things to choose from, or is it kind of that? Is that slowing down now?
Well, the builders naturally, because the demand is slipping a little bit, they want to stop, but they shouldn't stop. They got to keep building because inventory is still way behind of demand. There still is a very strong demand for purchasing homes. We don't have enough inventory in Colorado Springs. So that's where that kind of, and what's going to happen is builders, they're running a business, and if they slow down, they're going to slow down production, which creates even more of an issue of less inventory, which is going to keep those prices high.
It's so crazy to me how fast things change, because we were just talking about the year, the future, at the end of the year, and where we were just a few months ago, starting off 2022, and that was the prices had just changed. I thought,
Yeah.
and now people are out talking how prices have gone down. Is that true?
No, it hasn't. It leveled out. It hasn't dropped.
Didn't drop.
It didn't drop. It's just being corrected. It's right. You're still getting appreciation. I mean, last year, Tatiana Bailey, who is the economist here on Fox, you know, we did 18% in Colorado Springs for appreciation. So this year, if you get a 10% return, you're still crushing it. You're talking on a $400,000 house, $40,000 a year on return? That's phenomenal. But people get into this mindset of, oh man, rates are up, they're gonna go up even higher, the world is coming to an end. That's not the case, because we have so many people looking to purchase a house still in that lack of inventory.
In today's show, I'm excited because you mentioned return. All right, so we're going to talk more about investment as well.
Yeah.
Look at the smile on his face.
You guys,
But I like that area. I
yeah.
like that area. Maybe because I'm already a home owner, and I need to maybe look in the future.
Right.
Yeah? And what we're going to talk about today is really exciting, isn't it, Randy?
It is. It's very exciting of how much wealth you can build by owning real estate.
right?
And it's still there. Even with, I mean, the media, nothing personal.
Wow.
But the
Wow.
media just spins this because that sells, commercial
It excites
airtime.
people.
It excites people.
But we're here. Randy is here to tell the truth. No, we're here to tell the truth,
You
and
are.
to we really want to understand it, because it's just ever changing. And
Yeah.
me, I'm looking.
Yeah,
So
you are.
And I know I'm not the only one out there in the entire southern Colorado area.
And that's why we have Randy on, to be very transparent with you at home. And it's really important. You might be a first-time home buyer. You might be like me, who owns a house and wants to go into the rental.
Yes.
Yeah,
The rental kind of, it's a business, isn't it, really?
It is.
Yeah.
it is.
It's a very profitable
Yeah.
business, and we're going to talk about that later.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So Airbnbs, short-term renting, long-term renting. Randy is all about it. So I'm excited we're going to talk about this. You can learn more in the meantime on Randy's website, coloradofirsttimehomebuyer.com. And as we said, as most of us are used to staying in maybe some Airbnbs on vacay, have you ever thought about being the one to rent out that Airbnb or rental?
And Randy dives into just how possible it is to turn your home into an Airbnb to make some money.
Plus, change that I think I can to I know I can when it comes to buying a home. If you fear the interest rates, well, We have a lender here to talk about down payment assistance coming up.
And we're back on Love and Live Local this morning, and you're not alone if you can't keep up with today's housing market. One second you might think you can afford to buy, the next not so much. And we've got a special guest this morning. Lender Nick Barter is here to tell us more. Tell us more.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. And I want to know, I'm going to jump straight in because you're a professional. All right. I want to know, and the viewers want to know, are the Fed, are the interest rates, is it going to be affected today?
Yeah, the general concession is that the Fed is going to raise rates by 75 basis points today. Basically what has happened is the Federal Reserve is a little bit behind on controlling inflation. We have these really high inflation numbers and they control inflation with raising rates, consumer rates, basically short-term interest rates. And so they're a little bit behind, so they're trying to catch up.
Another big question, how is it going to affect the housing market, especially me being a homeowner as well?
Sure. The big misconception out there is that when the Fed raises rates, mortgage rates automatically go up. That's just not the case. What the Fed is really controlling is interest rates on car loans, maybe home equity loans and credit cards, and they're trying to fight inflation. Inflation is kind of the arch enemy of mortgage rates. So when inflation goes up, mortgage rates go up. So as the Fed fights inflation, we actually can get some benefit in mortgage rates by the Fed raising rates. So the media will tell you that rates are up and everybody will call me and say, oh my gosh, we missed the boat, rates are up. That's just not the case. Usually what happens, there's a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction in the mortgage rates and then they float back down. Their last meeting, they raised rates by 75 basis points. Our mortgage rates are lower today than they were before that meeting.
So there's a little bit of a panic and then they come to you and you reassure them.
And then everything, and then we calm everybody back down and say it's still a great time to buy.
What about for first-time home buyers?
Yeah, I think for first-time home buyers, probably the first time in several years, we're actually in a spot where first-time home buyers have an opportunity to buy homes a little easier. There's a little more inventory on the market. The competition to buy that inventory is down a little bit. So instead of having to pay $25,000 or $50,000 over a list price, now people are actually buying houses at list price. They may even be able to get some concessions from the seller to help with closing costs and prepaid items. So.
And just to quickly touch on it, because we're running out of time, but the down payment grant programs, an awesome way.
Yeah, absolutely awesome way. You have, if you just, the days of needing 20% down are just not, they're not there anymore. So if you can take advantage of the down payment assistance programs, Colorado has some of the greatest down payment assistance programs in the country. And so if you can take advantage of those and instead of needing, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, you might be able to get into a house for $6,000 or $2,000 or even $1,000.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Nick, some really, really important information for viewers and people to get reassurance as well, which is awesome. So thank you for joining us this morning.
Absolutely.
We do appreciate it. And you can learn more on Randy's website, ColoradoFirstTimeHomebuyer.com, and there's more Soco Home Show after the break. And make sure to tune in this weekend to episode 6, that's right, episode 6 of Your First Home, sponsored by Colorado First Time Home Buyer. You can catch it on Fox and Soco CW at noon on Sunday.
Today's housing market, oh my goodness. Well, it's crazy. We just talked about it. You heard all about it. But if you've been thinking about buying and then hesitating, Randy would be the first to tell you, don't hesitate, do it now. You can invest in that home, and a way to have a major game changer is to rent it out, not just take the equity off of it.
Short-term rentals, I love it.
Loves it.
You can move into your first home, you can go through, as Nick was just mentioning about down payment assistance programs, own that for a while, get that equity built, and then look at maybe doing an Airbnb, purchasing other properties. You could do long-term rentals, short-term rentals. I'm a big fan of short-term rentals just because of the numbers. The numbers are massive. And most people are very comfortable going to an Airbnb or a Vrbo or something to that effect. And I just did it this last weekend up in Steamboat. Just booked a Vrbo and it worked out great.
So it's not VRBO.
It's Vrbo.
Vrbo.
Yeah, you spell it that way, but that's how they pronounce it.
I mean, I just learned what an Airbnb is, I feel like, so now I'm trying to talk about Vrbos here.
Vrbo, yeah.
But you know, something I've learned from you, Randy, is over time, as we've been looking for a home and you've brought this to my attention, is having an Airbnb, you can't just turn any home into an Airbnb.
No.
So there's,
No.
what goes into that?
Check with the city, the county. There's regulation there. Reach out to your agent that you're working with. Hopefully they have that knowledge, or they can put you with an agent who has that knowledge. You know, our team would definitely help you with that.
Okay.
Understand where you can and cannot do a short-term rental. But yeah, you just can't throw one up in a neighborhood and do that. So there is some regulation to it, but it's not that tough. It's not that scary. The numbers are phenomenal. If you know, like an Airbnb short-term rental, the rental on average nationwide, they're rented about 67% booked throughout the year.
Wow.
That is pretty astounding.
Wow.
On average, 10% of the people who have a short-term rental, they average about $2,000 a month is what they make on a short-term rental.
Just on that,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
And you know, so you have talked about how you wish you had started earlier doing that.
Yeah.
So what would your advice be to people?
Well, I'll tell you, if you're a first-time home buyer, get into your first home. You know, you could fix it up. You could use it for a short-term rental. Stay there a couple years, build that equity, move on to the next. Move on to the next. I wish somebody would have told me that when I bought my first house in Castle Rock years ago for $87,000. I'm telling you how old I am. But it's, you know,
What,
that's how you
1850 you did that?
No. But that's how you do it. You even with the numbers of 400,000, it works. The ROI works for a short-term rental, and that's, you know, you'll see in a show this weekend. We're downtown looking at some homes, short-term rental possibilities on those.
Yeah.
The numbers were strong. One of the owners mentioned that they had an offer for 60 days for that cute house.
Right.
And it was over $8,000 is what somebody was willing to pay to stay in. It was less than 1,500 square feet.
Wow.
To stay in that house, because people think, you know, short-term rentals always vacation. Well, you have professionals coming in and out, and they only are going to stay for 60 days. In this case, they want to be close to the hospital, which is where this was located at. So you have so many things going, but $8,000 for 60 days?
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And speaking of crazy, we're gonna look at some crazy Airbnbs coming up next. And the big change that we've had here for Soco Home Show, well, your first home. Yeah, we have an announcement to make coming up here in just a minute. And Colorado First Time Home Buyers website is where you'll find all the information you need to know about on down payment assistance and the steps on getting your first home. We'll be right back.
And we're back for the Soco Home Show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were just talking about Airbnb, so you missed the conversation. But before we show you the crazy Airbnbs that some people put together, because it's like a trend now.
It is a big
a
trend.
huge trend, doing funky Airbnbs. I want you to kind of tell people what the process is of being the person who owns that Airbnb and rents it out.
Well, it's not that scary. There's some great management companies out there. Evolve is one that you could look up online. It's just not that tough to run an Airbnb. It really is.
There's horror stories that come along
Yeah.
with them sometimes.
It's all hype.
All hype.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not that bad. It really is not that hard to do an Airbnb.
But going back to what you just said earlier in the show, $2,000 a month
Yes.
you could make.
Yes.
And earlier on in the show, Sonny Sweeney is staying in an Airbnb.
Yep.
So that person who owns that is probably,
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a business. It's such an investment. Imagine having not just one, you could have two
Or more.
or more.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, that's the kind of vision.
So what
That's
is the craziest Airbnb that you have seen or been a part of?
Well, I mean, sometimes it's not even the house; it's Airstream or something like that, and that's where Vrbo and Airbnb kind of differ. Airbnb can be a bedroom; it could be, a trailer. Vrbo is a house. It's definitely. Oh, there we go, crazy Airbnb. It's a shoe.
That's like
yeah.
the woman who lived in
Yellow
a shoe.
Submarine.
Look
Play
at
the
that.
Beatles in there and a potato.
We all live in a yellow
Yeah.
submarine.
But even something like that, it's very appealing, okay? If you had families and everything, I want to stay in a spaceship. Yeah, obviously, I get that. But even the simple home is, especially somewhere like Colorado Springs,
Yeah.
you've got tourism,
Yes.
you've got military, okay? You've got people with short-term, for example, the medical world, who come in for a month at a time.
Yeah.
It's a better way of living, isn't it?
It is, and the cost.
Instead of a hotel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and like I was in Steamboat. Steamboat, the hotel room was going to cost me $4 something. Condo, Airbnb, right at the ski resort, 2 bedrooms. It was like $250. So definitely better price. So if you're looking at traveling, check the hotels, but also check an Airbnb or Vrbo.
So the Verbos.
The Vrbo.
I'm going to stay in a Vrbo coming up here. So what is the difference in the simplicity of renting a home out versus Airbnb? Like renting long term out versus
Well, I mean,
Airbnb?
long term, you're going to do a 1-year lease typically. You're going to take that big deposit. They move in, their furniture. They may not pay one month. You got to track that down. Short-term rental, it's not a credit card. You're getting paid. I mean, you don't have to go out and personally meet them if you don't want to. Give them the key code. They go in on a short-term rental, stay a couple nights, stay maybe a month or 2 months. I mean, that's why I love it. You don't get into their business. You don't get to know them, and I don't like that. I've done long-term rentals. I'm not a big fan personally. I have a lot of people I know make a lot of money on them, but I'm not a big fan.
2 points before Nava talks. One being, I bet what you get so many horror stories from the long-term rentals is that they feel like it's their home at some point, so they're more lax. Maybe some things get ruined. Second, I was just gonna say Nava would love to own an Airbnb and meet people every single day.
I'd be like, hello, welcome to Airbnb. Hello. Yeah. I know some Airbnb landlords don't like to do that, but I'd like to welcome people. Hello. It's an experience as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's a lot of trust involved, I get that as well.
It is.
This weekend on your first home, what can
Yes.
people expect? I mean, I do believe we have Sunday at noon as well.
Yeah, it is. Sunday at noon.
Yeah.
We're prime time
Yeah.
on a Sunday. Yeah.
time.
CW. Yeah, I mean, we're going to look at that. Why, think about when purchasing your first home, think about that long term and say, okay, let's turn it into an investment down the road. And that's what we talked about.
Yeah, this episode that you'll see on Sunday at noon on the CW is a lot about investment through renting on your first home. And you can catch it also Sunday at midnight on CW and Fox. So if
Fantastic.
you don't get the CW, you can get it there.
Randy Bell, thank you so much as always.
Thank you.
And thank you, viewers at home. We'll see you tomorrow for more Loving Living Look at 9 a.m.